opportunity to have this one-on-one conversation with you with regards to what the Ministry of Gender, Child and Social Welfare is doing.
Yeah.
And also what you in particular is doing with regards to women empowerment. Let us start with introducing yourself. Let us know who you are and what you do. You're welcome.
My name is Amule Timothy Obuta. I am the project manager for the South Sudan Women Social and Economic Empowerment Project. My role here is key as part of the setup of the implementation of the Women Empowerment Project. I provide leadership, planning, supervision, monitoring, and work together with a number of experts who have been brought on board as part of the design of this project to allow us to be able to provide the key aspects of implementation and guidance, not just to the ministry as a whole, but also to all the partners that we work with.
Where is the funding for these SSWSEEP project coming from? Is it the government of South Sudan? Is it the ministry, or you've got partners in this project?
Good question. The funding for this project comes from the World Bank, directly to the government of South Sudan. Contractually, it's been signed by the Ministry of Finance and Planning, but then the Ministry of Gender, Child and Social Welfare is the primary implementing agency for this project.
Yes.
Yeah.
Timothy,
Yes.
I would like to first go specifically to you as a person. Growing up, for now, who you are, have you always have a calling to work towards women empowerment, women's social empowerment, and so on? Given our context as South Sudanese, mostly people argue it is a patriarchal society where people, underestimate the roles that women play in our society.
Good question. I would not reflect to all those times when I was growing up to be able to understand if these kind of concepts and initiatives existed then. The way we were groomed is that in a family there are parents, there's a father, there's a mother, and of course sometimes extended family, and that the man is always the head of the family. Yeah. And if I am able to remember a little bit, the mother is always relegated to the kitchen and the shamba or the farm and those other kind of duties. But as I grew up, I then understood that that shouldn't be the way, that should not have been the way. And over time, interacting with different people, with development partners, with individuals, you get to learn that indeed the way our societies have been structured, there's obviously a difference, in terms of power dynamics, in terms of the role and responsibilities of women and girls, and the definition of gender itself was different, and over time you realize that actually there's more to it than what we have always understood. So when you get to understand the differences, it's then all up to you as an individual on whether you want to stick, to traditional ways of how gender has been defined and who are women and who are men, or what role can you play, to be able to support the clear understanding and definition of how gender means roles and responsibilities and the power structures inherent in them. It's not about a man, it's not about a woman, a woman, but there has to be some sort of equality within it.
One final question about you as a person working towards, gender empowerment and particularly women empowerment. What would you want to be remembered for working towards the empowerment of women?
What I would really want to be remembered for is to play a role where men and boys get to understand that they can play a role in advancing the empowerment of women and building their capacity. Clearly, if you look at the data or statistics of our population, the majority are women. Therefore, what can I do as a man, and what can I do in terms of encouraging men and boys to be able to change, these dynamics of ensuring that women are empowered, and that when we talk about empowerment, we are talking about what are some of the activities that women are engaged in, and how do we ensure that if there's any gap that makes it difficult for women to grow beyond where they are, then that we can support to bridge that gap.
Now, the good thing is that the Ministry of Gender, Child and Social Welfare is enabling you, contribute in the way that you would want to contribute through the SEEP project.
Yes.
Can you tell me what activities? First, let's look at the objective of that project.
The key objective is to increase women and girls' entrepreneurship, but also to be able to support the government, who is supposed to be the primary giver of those services to these women, by building their capacity so that they can be able to sustain these services that are meant for the women and girls. So this is the key objective. But I must mention that this project is designed into different components. Component one is called Community Empowerment Support to Women and Girls. So under component two, there's the aspect of not just giving grants, but also technical assistance. There's also the aspect of training. There's also the element of networking. When women who are still starting business interact with those who have been in business for a long time, there's that networking where they learn from each other. So under this component, we have that element. And then component three of the project is GBV support. As I said earlier on, gender-based violence is a huge problem in terms of human rights violation. The findings clearly indicate that there is work that needs to be done under this. So the project has designed an aspect of setting up a helpline where women can easily call. Those who have been exposed to violence, they can call, they can be able to receive support, they can be able to be referred to services near them where they are. But the other part of the GBV support is also we're going to build a safe house. But then the fourth one is institutional capacity building. Now, the mandate of the Ministry of Gender is very wide, providing services, empowering women, ensuring that there's gender equality. Now, it's not meant for women alone. It's cross-cutting. Women, girls, men, disabled, everybody, right? Now, for this ministry to be able to provide these services that I have mentioned, we also need to build their capacity, right? So component 4 looks at the institutional strengthening of the ministry. Beyond this project, such that even when the project comes to an end, we would have created those structures where the ministry can continue. And one of the key activities that is going to be done is construct a headquarters for the Ministry of Gender, Child and Social Welfare. This headquarters will accommodate all the ministry staff, including all the directorates, including all the social workers, such that they now can have the environment where they can operate.
Yes, thank you. That was elaborate, and it has actually responded to so many of the questions that we're going to follow. Yeah. I would like you to tell me, when was this particular project launched, and when is it ending?
The project was launched on the 24th of May 2023, and it's meant to come to an end by the 31st of December 2026.
Well, looking at component 2, which was, I think, where you give grants.
Yeah.
How do you identify, how do you even let people know that there is grant? Because I was involved in, moving to some of your women that are involved in businesses. Yeah. And had an interview with them.
Yeah.
So how do you identify, and how frequent? What is the frequency of calling out for people to apply for the grant?
That's a very good question. So while the Ministry of Gender, Child and Social Welfare is the primary recipient and implementer of this project, it's not working alone. The ministry is working with other partners such as UN Women, such as UNOPS, and UN Women has also contracted other partners to support the implementation of certain components of the project, and one of the partners is IRC International, and there's also Care International that are supporting us. So it's through these partners that the project was able to come up with requirements that have become part and parcel of the application process. Even before the application process commenced, we had stakeholder engagements within the project. We wanted to ensure that all the other stakeholders are aware of what we're doing. When you're going to work with women and girls and you want to support them, that means you're not going to leave the private sector out. And so we had to work with SWEA, South Sudan, I think Women Empowerment or Economic Entrepreneurship Association. We had to work with the Chamber of Commerce as part of the exactly. We had to work with other ministries such as the Ministry of Justice. We had to work with Ministry of Education, and so many other institutions that were involved. So there was a committee called the Grants and Evaluation Committee that was set up, composed of some of these institutions that I mentioned. Some of them are government institutions, but some of them are private sector institutions. Once that committee was formed, then they agreed on requirements and criteria for application process. Before the applications were even called for, they agreed, what do we do? And if we're going to roll these applications out, how do we ensure that they go out to the beneficiaries, who are the women and girls? As you know, if you do activities through the internet, you're basically cutting off some of the beneficiaries who do not have access. And if you do them by advertising on newspaper or radio, you're also cutting out some people who do not have access to that. So all those considerations were put in place, and therefore the committee agreed that there should be at least 3 centers where the women can collect applications. One of the centers was Women Union, because the women know where the Women Union is. The other center was in Acacia along Gudele Road. And then another one is called Orange Corner, somewhere here in Jubanabari. Then these centers were advertised. They were announced on radio, on newspapers. There was a lot of enlightenment that was done to share a lot of this information so that it reaches out, to the different categories of women, to tell them that we are launching an application process. And therefore, there's a criteria. If you meet that criteria, go and pick an application form from one of these centers which is closer to you. And if you cannot pick it from those centers, we also have an online version. If you want to get it online, here is where you can get it online. So all this information was shared, and then the beneficiaries or the applicants were able to put their applications.
That was elaborate. How many women have, actually received grant?
There are two categories that we're supporting. One of them is called the Seed Lab category. The Seed Lab are those women who are really starting businesses. They get grants ranging from $2,000 to about $3,000 to support their businesses. Under that category, our initial target for this project was to be able to support at least 200 women. As I speak now, about 160 of them have already received their grants. And that's not all, because we're now also in the middle of training the second cohort of women who have qualified. After the qualification, then the selection process again to choose those who will receive grants will also go on. We are hoping that our target is going to be more than what we had initially planned, maybe up to 1,000 women instead of the 200 that we initially planned. Under the Growth Lab, which is the second category of women we're supporting, those are women who are already in business. They've been there. Some of them have over $100,000 in their bank accounts. But there was a missing element. They could not grow beyond that. Some of them wanted to add some value to their businesses, but still the funds they were having were not enough. So we have up to, I think, 18 women that we're supporting under the Growth Lab. And these are women who are getting between $30,000 to $50,000 per business. So far, all those in terms of our target, we have already reached.
Right. Two questions before we go for a short break, and then we come back. Are you only targeting women in Juba, or other parts of the country also can apply wherever they are?
Good question. And we have received a lot of this as well from others. I must be clear on this. At the moment, we're looking at metropolitan Juba only. This is being piloted. And when we talk about metropolitan Juba, Juba attracts women from all walks of life. So whether you come from Western Baragazal, Eastern, Jongole, where as long as you're in Juba and you meet the criteria, you qualify. So we're piloting this. Hopefully it will generate the kind of results that we want. Then we see if the ministry has more funds, or if they want to go back to their partners and say, this has worked in Juba, we want to go out, then they will look at that.
Right. The last question on that is, are you opening up a call for another cohort again this year?
No, I think we have already completed the stage of calls for applications. We're now at just the stage of ensuring that all those who have met the requirements are trained, and that they receive the support, the technical assistance, the training, and those that are getting grants are able to receive their grants this year. As I told you, the project ends by December 2026. So we are at that stage of ensuring that we support them until we're able to see some gains in their businesses.
Yes, thank you for now, viewer of King TV and of course King Media as a whole. My name is Scorpus, and we are hosting Timothy at the Ministry of Gender, Child and Social Welfare. When we come back, we'll look at how this support aligns to the International Women's Day celebration, which is what women in South Sudan are joining the rest of the world in celebrating this International Women's Day. Thank you. Welcome back to King TV with Ms. Corpus Betwell. Today I'm having a one-on-one with Timothy, who is here at the Ministry of Gender, Child and Social Welfare. Timothy, we have had a conversation about what the ministry is doing towards women empowerment. Now let us look at the International Women's Day, which this ministry plays a key role in celebrating the International Women's Day. How does this project align to the objectives of the International Women's Day?
The project aligns very well to the celebration and objective of the International Women's Day. Globally, as you know, this is a day that is celebrated to honor women, to honor their resilience, and of course, we know that number one, they are the drivers of the market and the economy. Some of them are involved in businesses through the market. Some of them are farmers. Some of them are involved in livestock businesses. Some of them cross-border between the country and the neighboring countries. And so the International Women's Day celebration really aligns well, because we are talking about empowerment of women. We're talking about increasing access to support to both women and girls. As a project, we believe that this celebration this year comes handy, because our efforts to the women that we're supporting is to ensure that everything that we're doing aligns with this celebration. So I honestly believe that it comes at the right time.
Right. As the world celebrates the International Women's Day, in South Sudan, we are literally, I've heard the narrative is that this is International Women's Day month. It's no longer a day. That's why you see 1 week it is in Western Baragazal, and then the other week is in Eastern Equatoria, and we still continue to celebrate.
Yeah.
What messages does the ministry have for women of South Sudan?
So basically, the message is really to the women to know that we honor them. We know that they are the drivers of our economy, of our markets, of our houses, and we appreciate their resilience in everything that they do every day, the support system. We also want to use this opportunity to be able to encourage men and boys that in everything that women do, they require allies, and those allies are us. We can become allies by ensuring that we break those barriers that make it difficult for women, that we're able to dismantle any of those structures that have not been able to allow women, to create the change that they want, whether it's in, land distribution, whether it's in, education, resources, and so on, whether it's in the power structures within the house when it comes to responsibilities and roles. I think as men and boys, we believe that we can be allies in order for them to be able to realize some of the strides they would like to make.
Yes. One final question, which is almost what you just ended with. How are men and boys engaged in promoting gender equality through this initiative, the South Sudan Women Social Economic Empowerment Project?
We have a strong male engagement component under this project. Our target in terms of numbers under this project is to be able to reach at least 30,000 beneficiaries. Out of those 30,000, 22,000 are women and girls, and the 8,000 are men and boys. So we work with men and boys by ensuring that they are champions, that they are those who encourage others within the community who have not understood their role to be able to support the women. We cannot continue to sing the song of empowering women and girls without ensuring that we bring the men and boys on board, without ensuring that we make them understand what is it that we're doing. If we leave them out, then we would not have made a lot of progress by just engaging, the women and girls alone. So obviously, we have a strong male engagement under this project, and we're working with men and boys. We have grievance redress mechanisms where committees have been set up, and those committees are not just women and girls. Also, there are men who are involved in those committees, such that if there are any grievances within our communities, even the men can play a role in ensuring that they resolve. And if the men are the ones who are perpetrators, then they also know that what they're doing is not right, and it's a fellow man who can actually champion this by telling them.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I'm honored to have this interview with you.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
This is King Media, Beyond the News.